Okay, the next time management essential is analyze how you are, and then either compensate for it or change. Sometimes you can remain how you are if you just make other arrangements. My staff discovered I'm a poor courier. They said, Mr. Rohn, here's a check for Jerry Haynes. You're going to be up north, right, in the next couple of days? I said, yeah, no problem. Give it to me. I'll see that he gets it. Guess when I next hear about that check? From my cleaners. Saying, Mr. Rohn, we found this, right? Now, I say, look, I know I messed up that time, but, next time I'll make sure. See, but it just doesn't work. I'm not good at it. So we've got a little rule at our office that says, don't give the chairman anything, right? Don't. It won't arrive. He can talk good, but he's a poor courier. It won't get there. So you just got to analyze how you are and then make the compensations for it. Now, you can promise to change all you want, right? But if you're not going to, then make the other arrangements. I finally got somebody to help take care of reading financial statements and taking care of, a lot of corporate business and matters that I promised I would do myself, but I just never did get it done. And it used to be terribly costly to me for IRS and taxes. Unbelievable. But I finally got somebody to take care of that. At first it was Miss Mary. Ron Reynolds now handles a lot of it, but Mary Nasarowicz, back in those other years, she did it for me. I found her. She's a legal secretary and had a real estate license, and she was just terribly bright, has my power of attorney, bought and sold property, did a lot of these things, argues with attorneys and sits down with the accountants and goes through stuff with the IRS. And she just got good at it. And she took care of a lot of things that bailed me out more than once. IRS says I owe them an extra $105,000 one year. I said, $105,000? They said, yes, all these bank accounts and things we can't reconcile. Sure enough, back in the old days, I'd have paid the $105. This time I say, Mary. So Mary puts all this stuff together. I think she made one trip to Texas, one trip to Florida, gathered up all this information, and she had done such a good job that now it's time to go to San Francisco, meet the IRS with the accountants and the attorneys and, one of those sessions. And Miss Mary had done such a good job that when she finished, after about a 3-hour presentation, IRS said, Mr. Rohn, fortunate for you, we will strike the 105. Wow, Miss Mary gets a bonus, right? Wow. Incredible. So if you're not going to change, if you're not going to do it, even though you promise yourself year after year, just then make arrangements to see that it gets done. So analyze how you are. If you're good at bookkeeping, then keep your books. If you're not, just don't keep promising. Just drop off all that mess, twice a week or once a month in somebody's lap and say, here, figure this out and I'll pay you to do it. Sometimes for $100 a month or something, $50 a month, somebody will just, calculate a lot of stuff for you. Just save yourself all the grief of promising and never doing it. So analyze how you are. That's very important. Next time management essential is beware of the telephone. Beware of the telephone, a useful tool, but it can also get you into trouble. We got a little careless one time for a period of time. The telephone bill got up to $12,000 a month. In California, that wasn't international, that was here. Unbelievable. So you got to watch the telephone, and also you got to watch the telephone on time management. Here's one way to use the telephone. Make sure you make an agenda before you make a call. Make a little list of what you're going to talk about before you call. Don't try to think and call out of your head. We've learned to do this international. When you're in South Africa talking to Italy, you got to have an agenda. Otherwise, the phone bill goes crazy. And when you talk to any of our guys right around the world, you can just hear them kind of going through this list. Tick, 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 tick. How are you and how are the kids and how are you doing, right? A few little pleasantries. Here's what I want to talk to you about. Tick, 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 right down through it. Wind up saying, hey, hope to see you very soon. Boom. But if you don't have this agenda, you wander around, talk about all kinds of things that probably aren't essential. And then you have that, at the end of the telephone conversation, you say, let's see, there was something else I was going to talk to you about. I can't think of it right now. If I think of it all, call you back. See, great time waster. Also, when you make an agenda, it's really great when you come back to recall the conversation. Remember we talked about doing these 3 things? You say, no, we didn't go over that. Say, well, let me see. Oh, yeah. There it is in my log, the agenda of the telephone conversation. Okay? So use the telephone. Now, you got to be aware of the telephone at home, too. Now, you might have to have some business calls at home, but you got to be very careful. The phone can be an incredibly disturbing influence on family and social, personal life. So learn to regulate that. They got the phones now, you can just shut them off, right? When somebody calls, it just sounds like you're not there. You know, the phone just rings, but you don't hear it. I can just let the phone ring, but some people can't do that, right? I've had people over at my house, my phone rings. They say, aren't you going to answer your phone? I say, no, we're having lunch or whatever, right? So you got to answer your phone. I said, no, you don't. I've had them go answer my phones. They say, it's for you. I said, I imagine it is, yeah. Come on. I also found out when you got teenagers, they got to have a phone. Because the teenagers can't use the adult's phone. Otherwise, you become a message courier, and they stay on the phone. And when you got 2 daughters like I had, they've each got to have a phone. 2 teenage daughters cannot use the same phone. For just a few dollars sometimes, you just save yourself a lot of hassle and a lot of trouble. And then finally we got the girls an answering service. Did. Otherwise, the parents become the answering service for the teenagers. You know, so do it not only for the convenience, but also for the prestige, right? Right? The girls say, call my service, right? I mean, really, it's neat. Just a few dollars a month, and you solve a lot of problems, have a lot of fun. It's part of lifestyle, right? How to spend your money. So, put the telephone thing together. Next, time management essential is have a certain time to solve problems. We found that helpful, especially in the business world. We say problems after 3. Just set them aside. Now, you don't ignore them, but you just set them aside in a certain time frame. All the problem calls, you just call back after 3 o'clock and just go right through them. Now, also, in setting them aside till 3 o'clock, problem comes in at 9 o'clock. And you say, hey, 3 o'clock, Mr. Rohn's going to get on the phone and make all these problem calls, right? Call back all these answers. Guess what usually happens between 9 and 3? Somebody calls back and says, hey, tell him not to call. We've already got it worked out. But see, if you take that call when it comes, sure enough, now you got to spend time. We learn in sales training. People ask questions. You say, hey, save that till training class. Bring that question to training class. You just learn those time-saving things, so you don't have to cover the same things with each person. Okay. Next on time management is read all the books. Just get you some ideas on time management from the books. There's books by Bliss, McKay, Lakin. Because that's where you get the answers. Because everybody's got tailor-made situations that need different answers. So just read them all. You know, some of them's got some kind of weird stuff. But, right, if you're weird, do the weird stuff, right? Whatever. Read it all. Next time management essential is be more alert. Part of the alertness is not only what's going on, but also be alert to looking at all your present procedures. You may have some old outdated procedures, stuff you've been doing for 5 years, and it's taken 10 hours instead of 1. Right? You could put it on a computer or something. You could just, go through, because it's easy to just accumulate a lot of wasted time, wasted motion by not, updating all of your stuff. You don't have to use the old, you don't have to use that anymore, right? The old calculators. They got the neat, easy stuff, right? Just go through and make sure you're not bogged down with some old, antiquated stuff that's wasting a lot of time. And then be more alert. Take a look at what's going around you. Say, hey, I've been going from here to there, and it's taking too much time. In sales management, we teach, don't go across town until you've gone across the street. Have they heard your story across the street? Guys, I got this hot prospect 40 miles away. Well, it just probably isn't worth the time. It's too far. The span of distance is too long. Just shorten up the span. So be alert as to those kind of time wasters. The last one here is ask questions. When you get ready to talk to somebody, ask some questions. It might save you a great deal of time. Because it's easy to talk to somebody for an hour and then discover you've been on the wrong subject. Right. Or maybe you're talking to the wrong person. Say, who are you? Oh, yeah, John, I forgot. You're talking about somebody else's problem. No, ask questions. Then you can get right to the heart of the matter. And then after you've asked a couple of questions, ask a couple of more. Because you can ask somebody, hey, what's wrong? It's not going well, what's wrong? Guy says, well, I can't seem to get at it. And then you just go on, here's how you ought to get at it, and so on, when that's not really the problem. Most people at first don't disclose the real problem. Make sure you learn that in management. Most people at first don't disclose the real problem. They disclose the surface problem. Sometimes the real problem is the problem. Guy says, well, I got some problems at home. Said, oh, that's why you're not getting out there. I've been talking about hitting it when the real problem is something's wrong at home. Let's talk about that. See, just a couple of questions, and you just save yourself an hour. You save yourself talking too long about the wrong things just by asking the questions. Okay? And game plans, laying out 6 months, laying out a year. When you do business internationally, several corporations. We just formed our first Australian corporation. You just got to have game plans to lay all this stuff out. Otherwise, it just doesn't get done. Things get missed. Taxes don't get paid. The details don't get taken care of. You've got to learn to think on paper. And if there's one thing under time management we can get across that's major, that one is it.